Friends, today's story was sent in by a subscriber named Alex, and it is a masterclass in why you should never try to bully someone who knows the history of their land better than you do. We've all seen HOA boards overstep, but this one tried to literally steal a family's heritage. They thought they could use lawyers to intimidate a single homeowner, but they forgot that a deed is more powerful than a homeowner's manual. This is a story of nuclear revenge that left an entire gated community trapped behind their own greed. Alex lives on a stunning 12-acre plot that has been in his family since the 1940s. It sits right at the mouth of a valley that was developed into a luxury gated community called Falcon Crest back in the late 90s. Alex's grandfather was a smart man. When the developers approached him, he sold them the land for the houses but kept the narrow strip of land that connected the valley to the main highway. He also kept his original cabin, which sits right at the entrance. For 25 years there was peace. The residents of Falcon Crest drove past Alex's cabin every day to get to their mansions. In return for the road usage, the HOA handled the snow plowing and basic maintenance of that entrance stretch. It was a fair trade. But then the HOA board changed. Enter Brenda, a retired corporate auditor who decided that Falcon Crest needed to become premier. She didn't like the look of Alex's older cabin at the entrance. She called it a blight on the community aesthetic. Brenda decided that the HOA should own that entrance land so they could build a massive gold-plated gatehouse and a fountain. She sent Alex a letter stating that according to a newly discovered map, his cabin was actually violating the community's setback rules. She demanded he tear down his porch and pay $15,000 in unauthorized land usage fees. When Alex told her to pound sand, Brenda turned up the heat. She hired a predatory law firm to send him weekly intent to sue notices. She even had the HOA security guard park a truck in front of his driveway to monitor his movements. Alex tried to be reasonable. He brought his original 1946 hand-drawn deed to an HOA meeting. Brenda didn't even look at it. She stood up in front of the whole board and said, "Alex, your little piece of paper is outdated. We have a modern digital survey that says this road and the land around your cabin belong to the association. We are going to take it, and there is nothing a mountain man like you can do about it." That was her biggest mistake. Alex wasn't just a mountain man, he was an architectural historian with a specialty in land titles. He spent the next 3 days in the basement of the Country Records office. What he found was a nuclear bomb of a legal error. It turned out that when Falcon Crest was built, the developers never actually bought the right of way from his grandfather. They had a life lease which expired the moment his grandfather passed away 5 years ago. Because the HOA had never renewed it or officially purchased the easement, the road leading into Falcon Crest, the only road, was technically a private driveway belonging to Alex. Not only that, but the HOA had built their expensive security gate and stone walls on land they didn't own. Alex decided to let Brenda play her hand. He waited until the day of the Falcon Crest 25th anniversary parade. It was a huge event. The mayor was coming, expensive classic cars were lined up to drive through, and the local news was there. At 7 a.m. that morning, Alex didn't call the police. He called a fencing company. By 9 a.m., right as the first parade cars were arriving, a 6 foot high chain link fence was being bolted directly across the main entrance road. Alex stood there with a clipboard wearing a high-vis vest. Brenda arrived in her convertible, wearing a sash that said HOA President. She was screaming before she even got out of the car. "What do you think you're doing? Move this fence immediately. The mayor is 5 minutes away." Alex just smiled and handed her a laminated copy of the 1946 deed and the expired 1998 lease. Sorry, Brenda, I've decided to renovate my driveway today. Since the association claims I don't follow the rules, I've decided to follow the most important rule of all: private property rights. This road is closed to the public indefinitely. Brenda lost her mind. She called the sheriff, screaming that Alex was holding the neighborhood hostage. Two deputies arrived, followed shortly by the mayor's car. Brenda ran to them, pointing and crying, "Arrest him! He's blocking a public thoroughfare!" The sheriff, who knew Alex's family well, looked at the paperwork. He spent 10 minutes on the phone with the county clerk. He walked back to Brenda with a look of pure pity. "Ma'am," the sheriff said, "I can't arrest a man for putting a fence on his own land. This paperwork is ironclad. This isn't a public road, it's his yard. And looking at these markers, your HOA gatehouse and that $50,000 fountain are also on his yard. Technically, he could have had them demolished today if he wanted to." The mayor had to turn his car around. The parade was canceled. The residents of Falcon Crest were trapped. They couldn't get their Mercedes or BMWs out, and guests couldn't get in. The premier community was now a dead-end cage. The backlash was instant. By that evening, the HOA board has received over 100 emails from angry homeowners who were threatening to sue the board for gross negligence. They realized Brenda's power trip had just made their homes inaccessible and their property values plummet. The next day, the HOA board, minus Brenda, who had gone into hiding, came to Alex's porch. They didn't bring lawyers this time. They brought an offer. They begged Alex to sign a permanent easement. Alex's terms were non-negotiable. The HOA had to pay $250,000 for the back rent of the last 5 years. The HOA had to pay for a lifetime of maintenance on Alex's cabin. The HOA had to dismantle the gatehouse and move it 50 feet back off his land. Brenda has to be banned from the board for life and her membership revoked. They signed it within the hour. Brenda was so humiliated that she sold her house at a loss and moved out of the state a month later. Alex used the money to fully restore his grandfather's cabin into a state-of-the-art home. Now every time a resident drives into Falcon Crest, they look at Alex's beautiful cabin and remember, the HOA might have the rules, but Alex owns the road. If you love this story of a greedy board getting a reality check, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Have you ever had a property line dispute that went nuclear? Let us know in the comments below, and your story might be featured in our next video. Thanks for watching.